Hi friends, quick recap here. In today's video, I will be discussing the fantasy action film Gods of Egypt. Spoiler ahead. Watch out and take care. A long time ago in Egypt, gods and men once lived together in a beautiful paradise they had made. Egypt was ruled by two brothers, Osiris and Set. Osiris ruled the fertile lands near the Nile River, while Set, consumed by jealousy, lived alone in the desert. When it was time for Osiris to make his son Horus the new king, their brotherly bond was put to the test, and the fate of Egypt hung in the balance. On the day of the coronation, Horus, dressed in his armor, looked at himself in the mirror, but his lover Hathor teased him for not being ready. Hathor was deeply loved by Horus, and he gave her a special bracelet with 42 stars to protect her from relentless monsters. They both went to the ceremony, where all the gods gathered, and the people celebrated by offering gifts. Osiris, speaking to the worshippers, emphasized that everyone was equal in the eyes of the gods, regardless of the value of their offerings, and they would all have a place in the afterlife. Osiris then called his son Horus, the god of the air, to crown him as the next ruler of Egypt. However, their ceremony took a terrible turn when Set, the king's brother, emerged from the crowd. Set challenged Osiris to a fight for the crown and stabbed his brother Osiris in the stomach in front of everyone. Set declared himself the new ruler and changed the rules for the afterlife, now demanding significant offerings. Horus, devastated by his father's death, picked up a weapon and began battling his uncle, seeking vengeance for the murder. However, in his anger, Horus was swiftly defeated in the fight and ended up on the ground. Fueled by rage, he unleashed his true form, prompting Set to do the same. The two gods clashed in mid-air, causing destruction to nearby buildings, sending people fleeing for their safety. Their intense battle continued until they both landed amidst the ruined buildings. Set ordered his army to use shields to reflect beams of blinding light onto Horus. Blinded and vulnerable, Horus was repeatedly struck by Set, sending him flying backward. Set approached his defeated nephew, proclaiming that Horus was unworthy of being king. In a brutal act, he gouged out Horus's eyes, causing the god to scream in agony while onlookers watched helplessly. Before Set could deliver a fatal blow, Hathor intervened, offering to please him in exchange for sparing Horus's life. With Set now the ruler of Egypt, the people were forced into slavery, and any gods who opposed him were systematically eliminated. Amidst this turmoil, a young man named Bek refused to accept enslavement and managed to escape his captors. As he ventured further into the city, he came upon a palace where his beloved Zaya was held captive as a slave under the supervision of Set's chief architect. Bek surprised Zaya after her master had left, hoping to rescue her. However, Zaya explained that their individual escape wouldn't make a difference, as the entire country was suffering under Set's oppressive rule. Zaya implored Bek to steal Horus's eyes from Set, believing that her god was the only one who could liberate Egypt. She led Bek to the architect's library, where he discovered a drawing of Set's pyramid, where the source of Set's powers was hidden. Additionally, Zaya showed him the plans for the vault, filled with traps meant to deter treasure thieves. Under the cover of night, Bek followed the treasure wagons from a rooftop and managed to leap into a cart filled with gold. The treasures were secretly transported through an underground tunnel, leading Bek to a chamber where the Eye of Horus was kept. Negotiating the perilous traps guarding the treasures, he reached the final bridge just as it began collapsing. Desperate, he sprinted and made a daring leap, narrowly grasping the magical eye. Excitedly, Bek returned to Zaya with the good news, but she seemed troubled. Zaya confessed that her master had uncovered their plot to steal from Set, and he had surrounded Bek with soldiers to capture him. In a quick-thinking move, Bek used the Eye of Horus to blind the approaching soldiers, creating an opportunity to escape with Zaya. They fled the castle on horseback, carrying the stolen treasure. Their joyous celebration was abruptly cut short when an arrow struck Zaya in the chest, causing her to die in Bek's arms. With no other recourse, Bek rushed to a temple where Horus resided, entering the dark palace and pleading for the deity's help in saving his beloved. Horus sensed the presence of the eye and demanded Bek return it immediately, but Bek refused unless Horus could resurrect Zaya. Faced with no other choice, Horus began chanting over the lifeless body, summoning Anubis, who took Zaya's soul into the underworld. Enraged by the outcome of his efforts to save Zaya, Bek was captured by Horus, who forced him to return the eye. As Horus regained his sight, he initially contemplated killing Bek for his defiance. However, he had a change of heart when he learned that the mortal knew the way into Set's pyramid. Horus decided to enlist Bek's help, promising to bring back Zaya if he could regain his position as Egypt's king. Meanwhile, Set discovered that the eye had been stolen from his vault and blamed the architect for his incompetence. He dispatched his right-hand man to capture the mortal responsible for the theft. Bek and Horus reached a mountain peak, where Bek prayed to his grandfather Ra, the sun god, to temporarily regain the ability to fly. Horus transformed once more and soared away from Earth, arriving at a massive spaceship atop the world. There, they witnessed Ra battling a colossal demon named Apophis. which sought to consume all creation. Ra successfully diverted the monster's course away from the planet. Ra, aware of Horus's purpose, chose not to directly intervene in their conflicts, seeing all lives as equal since he had created them. However, he allowed Horus to obtain the magical water from the ship capable of quenching Set's power within the pyramid. Returning to Earth, they crash-landed and were quickly attacked by Set's minions near a waterfall. Even without full access to his power, Horus fought and killed them one by one using his spear. However, one of the scouts survived and informed Set about their location, as well as Horus's promise to revive Zaya, which Set found amusing, knowing it was impossible. Set ordered his lieutenants to go after Horus and instructed them to also kill Bek. At the same time, Hathor, who had been secretly watching over her lover, discovered that Horus was no longer in his father's temple. Her disloyalty was uncovered by Set, who spied on her from behind. In a fit of anger, Set rushed to kill Hathor for her betrayal, but she quickly removed her bracelet, which caused her to be whisked away from danger by a swarm of demons. Once safe, Hathor began searching for Horus, knowing he was her only ally. Meanwhile, Bek noticed a sandstorm approaching from behind, but it turned out to be Set's hunters riding gigantic serpents. In a desperate bid to escape, Horus and Bek started running, as Horus lacked the power to fight off their pursuers. The enormous snakes chased after them, leaving destruction in their wake as the two friends fled for their lives. The monsters closed in, spitting fire towards the main characters, forcing them to take cover behind a statue and crawl into trenches. Horus attempted to attack the black serpent with his spear, managing to temporarily trap it by piercing its jaw. However, the hunter fought back fiercely, forcing Horus to retreat into the channels. Horus realized that they couldn't hide forever and instructed Bek to lead one of the snakes away while he prepared to strike from behind. Bek sprinted towards the temple, drawing the attention of the white snake, which chased him closely while spitting fire. Horus caught up to the monster and climbed onto its back, surprising the hunter by tying her to the beast. The snake charged towards a cliff and plunged from the height, with Horus narrowly escaping. The two friends ran away from the collapsing structure just in time, only to find Hathor had located them. Fearlessly, she approached the giant snake, and the hunter ordered the creature to burn her. To everyone's surprise, the serpent refused to obey, becoming entranced by the goddess. Hathor commanded the monster to burn itself, and the creature obediently spewed fire upon its own body, ultimately killing its master, the hunter. With this unexpected turn of events, Horus and Hathor realized they had a newfound ally in the creature. Horus confided in Hathor, revealing his plan to enter Set's pyramid and extinguish the desert's fire, thereby stripping Set of his power. Hathor cautioned him, explaining that inside the pyramid, Set had placed a sphinx to thwart any intruders. To safely pass the sphinx, one must answer the creature's riddle, a task only Thoth, the god of wisdom, could accomplish. Together, they journeyed through the forest, eventually reaching the roots of a massive tree where they found numerous clones of Thoth working collectively. Horus implored Thoth to help them defeat the sphinx, but the god of wisdom declined, emphasizing the importance of his work over solving riddles. However, Bek cleverly manipulated Thoth's vanity, suggesting that he might be too afraid to risk answering the riddle incorrectly. Fearing damage to his ego, Thoth reluctantly agreed to accept the challenge, and Horus praised Bek for his quick thinking. The group traversed the desert and reached a pyramid where the stones were shifting simultaneously. Thankfully, Bek remembered the blueprints from the library and selected the correct entrance, leading them into the magical structure. As Bek raced toward the center of the pyramid, the shifting sands continued beneath his feet, but he managed to halt the chaos by turning a wheel. Venturing deeper into the pyramid, they encountered a tunnel where a colossal monster began forming from the ground. The creature posed a complicated riddle to the group, but Thoth swiftly answered. However, it turned out that Thoth's response was incorrect, causing the Sphinx to become hostile and knocking Horus against the walls. After several attempts, the god of wisdom, Thoth, managed to land the correct response to the Sphinx's riddle, forcing the creature to retreat. Approaching the well at the center of the earth, they intended to use the magical water to temper Set's power. However, they fell into a trap that separated the group. Set suddenly appeared and seized Thoth's brain as everyone watched helplessly. Bek, still holding the container of magical water, attempted to pour it into the well, but Thoth stopped him. He revealed that Horus had lied about bringing Zaya back, explaining that no one possessed the power to accomplish such a feat. Bek hesitated, realizing he had been betrayed, and the deity took the water from him, pouring it onto the ground. Set laughed at their futile efforts and departed, causing the entire building to collapse toward them. Fortunately, Horus managed to break free at the last moment and shielded everyone from the falling debris. They all survived, but Bek was filled with anger towards Horus for deceiving him with false promises. Seeing Bek's distress, Hathor sought to make amends. She removed her bracelet and handed it to Bek, explaining that it would serve as a treasure for Zaya to use to pass through the gates of the afterlife. Horus tried to stop Hathor from sacrificing herself, but she gave him a final kiss before being taken away by the demons. Overwhelmed by grief, Horus eventually handed the bracelet to Beck so that he could save Zaya's soul. As Zaya's judgment at the final gates drew near, Beck arrived just in time, reuniting with his lover and vowing to save her from eternal destruction. Meanwhile, Set had combined all the powers he had taken from the other gods, granting him wings and near indestructibility. He approached his grandfather, Ra, and revealed his plan to become immortal by destroying the afterlife itself, causing Apophis to devour the entire realm. Ra attempted to thwart Set by firing a devastating blast using his spear, but Set survived by harnessing the combined powers of all the gods. He stabbed Ra in the stomach, taking the spear and unleashing a powerful attack, sending Ra hurtling into space. Meanwhile, Beck noticed that the gate to the afterlife was being disturbed, while Anubis desperately tried to save the realm using his powers. Zaya urged Beck to return to Horus, as he was the only one with the power to defeat Set and restore order to the world. Beck reappeared near Horus, and the two resolved to confront Set before all was lost. Fortunately, a flying carriage appeared before them, provided by the gods opposing Set, allowing them to swiftly travel toward their enemy. Set, armed with the spear of Ra, lured Apophis toward the Nile River, enabling the monster to devour everything in its path. Horus landed on the pyramid and attempted to attack his uncle, but Set quickly countered. The two engaged in a furious battle, exchanging powerful blows. Set gained the upper hand and knocked Horus to the ground, poised to finish him off. Just before Set could strike the final blow, Beck intervened from behind, using a rope to restrain the enraged deity. Set transformed and charged at Beck, hurling him against a wall. In a daring move, Beck managed to steal the eye of Horus as he was tossed onto the rooftop. With great determination, Beck threw the eye back to Horus, hoping to restore the god's power, even as he began to fall from the towering building. Seeing Beck's peril, Horus chose to save his friend. Both of them plummeted toward the ground, but Horus transformed at the last moment and caught Beck before he could meet a fatal end. Beck was astonished that Horus had regained his power without the eye, but Horus realized that his weakness wasn't due to the missing eye, it was because his heart had been in the wrong place. Horus transformed and flew toward Set, engaging in a ferocious aerial battle. Set attempted to attack Horus with the spear but couldn't land any hits on his nimble nephew. The two gods crashed into the towering building, causing significant structural damage. Horus seized the opportunity to ambush Set from behind, slamming him against the walls and eventually breaking off his wings. This caused Set to plummet to the ground as the building collapsed from above. After the dust settled, Set was gravely wounded by the fall. Horus approached him from behind and ended his reign of terror by killing him with the spear of Ra. The god flew to his grandfather, who was floating in space, and brought him back to life by handing over the magical spear. Ra wasted no time and immediately shot at the gigantic monster, Apophis, repeatedly. His relentless attacks forced Apophis to turn away from Earth and flee. Horus returned to the city and was overjoyed to find that one of his loyal followers had found his missing eye. This allowed him to finally become his true self. He walked over to Beck but was saddened to see that Beck had already passed away from his previous injuries. Horus gently carried Beck to Zaya's side and placed their bodies together, allowing them to find peace together. However, Ra appeared just in time to express his gratitude to his grandson. He fulfilled Horus's wish by bringing both Beck and Zaya back to life. Beck and Zaya woke up together, sharing a joyful kiss to celebrate their reunion. Horus was finally crowned as the new king of Egypt, and he made an important change to the rules regarding the afterlife. He declared that people would no longer be judged based on the treasures they brought with them but rather by the good deeds they had performed during their lifetime. After his coronation, Beck gave Horus Hathor's bracelet, and the deity promptly transformed and flew off, determined to rescue his beloved and be reunited with her at last. Thank you for watching our recap. If you enjoyed it, please hit the like button and feel free to explore our other recaps.